Every now and again on the Star Citizen Reddit, we get a post saying, change this setting and you'll get more performance. Now, often there's no truth in what's being said, but sometimes there is. So we're exploring today SSDO, or Screen Space Directional Occlusion. A big post on Reddit. Some people on my Discord also got in contact and said, check this out. And I thought, well, yes, that is exactly what this channel is for. We're going to test, and test. So I've been into Lorville with my 7800X3D and my 4080, so a fairly high-end system. And we're going to see, does this thing that you can change in the console make any difference? Now, we're talking about shadows. It's hard to see. Let me show you here, side by side. One has got this on the setting of 2, and the other has got the setting on 0. From my testing, 0 seems to be off, and side by side, I just don't think you can see any difference. If, though, I show you the moment where I switch back and forth between them, you can see a small amount of difference. But it's not, in this particular scene at least, a huge graphical effect. So, in some ways, if it saves performance, maybe we should turn it off. But does it really save performance? First, let's have a look at 4K. Here's the graph, and you'll see that the default is SSDO 2. You can go into the console and change that. Then we've got 0, 1, and 3. 3, let's talk about that first, because that's the obvious standout thing. That has a massive impact on GPU performance. So my 4080 was being absolutely, completely slammed with the settings set to 3. So this setting does do something, but the difference between what it's set at as default and then when you drop it to 1 or to 0 is very, very minimal on a 4080. The difference is so small that we're kind of in the margin of error. Star Citizen servers obviously vary, things going on the server, your client has to do different things, and so each time you play the game or you do a run like this, things vary. Then at 1080p, well, we're seeing pretty much the same thing. 3 again is impacting performance, but because this seems to be tied in with your resolution and what it's doing with the shadows, we're not seeing as much of a hit as we were at 4K, but the other 3 results are effectively the same. So for my system, this is a bit of a bust, but I don't think that means there's nothing to be investigated here. There might be certain hardware combinations where this really does change things. The fact that changing this to 3 does make quite a significant difference to performance tells us that this setting does do something. It's not one of those things where you're changing it makes no difference. But for a 4080, it doesn't seem to change much. Maybe though, for older GPUs, different architectures, they all perform slightly differently. AMD versus NVIDIA, different cards handle different workloads differently. And so my recommendation for anybody who's trying to eke out any tiny bits of extra performance from Star Citizen is to do some actual testing. You can't just look at one thing, change it, look at the numbers again and say, oh, it's improved, because Star Citizen's performance just fluctuates all the time. Download something like CapFrameX, the program I use, record a load of data, and then change the setting, record a load more data, and see what your averages are. You can't just do one test and say, oh, it's improved. Often the Reddit posts frustrate me quite a lot because it's just somebody saying, oh, it's improved. And actually, if you dig deeper into it, it's just the server suddenly just threw a load of entities at you and your PC was doing a load of extra work and therefore the performance changed. You really do have to actually properly test. Now, it doesn't look to me as though this is like a massive change for anybody, but it's probably worth checking out.